Hey guys, Francis here, and I want to answer some questions from some beginning yoga students. So today's question is going to focus on where the elbows go in plank and downward dog. So I have a question here, and then we'll break down a little bit of the why behind it. I'll read the question first. So this is actually part of the second part. We did a video on the shoulder alignment, so we're going to focus on the elbows, but I'll read the question once again. So here it is. It says, I recently learned that you're supposed to push your shoulder blades apart and rotate your upper arms so that your elbows are pointing more toward the ground. Can you give me more insight on this? So where do your elbows go is the question, right? Where do your elbows go? And there's actually a really good answer for this one, so I will show you that right now. All right, so if you're coming onto your mat and you're on all fours, your elbows, you can think of the creases of the elbows. Some people call it like the eyes of the elbows. If your elbow creases are pointing forward, or if your elbow creases are pointing toward each other, it's going to give you a different rotation in the arms. Okay, so there's two parts to this that we want to keep in mind. When I have my hands planted on the floor and I point my elbows toward each other, what happens when I do that is I can actually get a nice firm grounding of my hands. The tendency of the hands in yoga is oftentimes for the weight to fall to the outside of the hands and for the index finger knuckle to get light or lift. Right? So I don't want that because I don't want to put undue pressure on just the wrists. I want a nice full even handprint. So if I point my elbows toward each other, I get a nice full handprint, right? I get nice and grounded through the hands. But that's not what was recommended, I think, in the question. Either way, we'll look at what happens if we do the elbows the other way. So elbow creases toward each other. There's kind of a trick ending to this. We'll put it all together at the end. If I point my elbows to face forward, what that's going to allow for is more of a connection, right, in the upper body. So if I do that, I point my elbow creases forward, I can feel a little more connection into the shoulder girdle. I can feel a little connection into the lats and a little more security in the upper body. So what we really want to do is actually neither one of these all alone, right? We don't want to take care of just the hands. We don't want to take care of just the shoulders. We want a little bit of both. So ideally what you want to do is ground your hands, point your elbow creases toward each other, see what that feels like, see that groundedness in your hands. Now point your elbow creases forward. Feel the connection in your upper body, in your shoulder girdle. You can feel a little bit of your lats here when you do that. And then what I want you to do is I want you to find right in between those two places. So your elbow creases are not pointing directly forward or toward each other. They're pointing sort of a little bit on a diagonal. So if you had a laser light shining from your inner elbow, it's not shining forward, it's not shining directly to the side. The laser light beams will sort of cross sort of somewhere out there. So it's basically a diagonal. But the point behind it is ground your hands, connect your shoulders, and your elbows will be somewhere in between. Now, if you have the tendency to hyperextend or go beyond straight with your elbows, you also want to make sure you're not jamming into a beyond straightness. You want to soften a little bit. So that's just another piece of the puzzle. So ground through the hands, find that feeling, ground through the shoulders, right? Find that feeling, find the inner creases of the elbows roughly on a diagonal at 45 degrees. And then in that place, you can come to all fours and notice that your hands are nicely grounded, your shoulders are nicely supported. And you want to try to keep that as you come into downward dog. So you might be tempted to lose that alignment as you move into your downward dog. So just give it a go, see what you feel. Sometimes different parts are a little tighter. You want to kind of give it a little, let it have a little give, right? You might choose to kind of focus on that on all fours and plank. And then when you move into downward dog, kind of lighten up on that, focus a little bit. But then when you come back into your all fours here, it's actually more pressure on your wrist when you're on a plank pose or all fours. It's a little more pressure on your wrist because you're at a pure 90-degree angle, or you can walk your hands a tiny bit forward so it's not pure 90, but you're actually more directly on your hands in this all fours or plank pose, and there's actually less pressure on your wrists when you're in downward dog. So there you have it. The answer is in the middle, okay? And that's often the answer in yoga a lot of times. So the sattvic path or the middle path, right? So a couple of pieces of the puzzle for you if you're a beginner and you're not sure where your elbow creases point, right? Either toward each other, right? Or toward the front, right? Right in the middle is really where you want to be, okay? So I hope this is helpful. Be well, stay safe, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks so much. Bye.